Big win for the Trump administration after an immigration judge on Friday rules Mahmoud Khalil can be deported over his involvement leading last year's anti-Israel protest. Just up the road here at Columbia University, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem welcoming the decision, saying Friday, quote, "When you advocate for violence, glorify and support terrorists that relish the killing of Americans and harass Jews, you should not be in this country," adding good riddance. Here to react, former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani. And so the ruling here, what should we know about this, Neema, and how long is the appeal process going to go, and where from here does this lead us?
Clay, there's two cases here, and what we're talking about is immigration court in Louisiana. And there, the judge ruled that under Section 237 in the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State, here Marco Rubio, can remove a green card holder if he reasonably believes that they're going to harm American foreign policy interests. And that's what happened here. And then the judge also didn't need to rule on the second issue, which was whether Khalil committed fraud during the naturalization process when he applied for that green card. So, I know there are a lot of folks that think he's a terrorist, others who believe that he's being persecuted for exercising his free speech rights, but the immigration judge can't really consider that. That's not something within the scope of their authority. So there's another case that's pending in New Jersey, and there potentially a district judge can address any First Amendment issues.
Okay, that's one story that's out there breaking on Friday. We also have a new story for a new generation, I should say, based partly on what's happened with the Netflix documentary. We've got a decision in the Menendez brothers trial. They were convicted of murder in 1989. Now there's some discussion about whether or not they can be given any sort of freedom here. What's going on there?
So we're talking about the resentencing petition, and here's what happened. There was a former district attorney here in Los Angeles, where I live, named George Gascon, and he initiated a resentencing request. That's very important because under California law, that's not something the defense can do. Only the prosecution or a judge can do so. He was perceived, rightfully so, as being soft on crime. So LA elected a new district attorney, Nathan Hochman. Well, now he's taken over and he wanted to pull back that sentencing recommendation. And the judge had to decide, well, can this even proceed and go forward? And I know Nathan, I respect him, I used to work with him, but it was really too late. The judge said the train has already left the station. So next week, the judge is going to actually hear that resentencing request. And if the Menendez brothers are resentenced to something less than life without the possibility of parole, there's a real chance that, they'll go before the parole board and they may be released in a matter of months.
This is completely a reaction, I think it's fair to say, to the Netflix documentary, which we've seen happen a lot, where they go back over old cases, new generations are exposed to them, and we get a new result. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely, Clay. We've seen it time and time again, the power of a Netflix series. Obviously, we're talking about monsters, but there's many, many other cases, whether it's Britney Spears, R. Kelly, Robert Durst, the Abercrombie and Finch CEO, where, you have a documentary or docuseries and it completely changes the course of a legal case. And here you have two individuals who are convicted of murdering their parents, and you have a documentary that really shines light on the sexual abuse that they suffered at the hands of their father, Jose, and their mother either turned a blind eye or was complicit to it. So now all of a sudden, you have two convicted murderers who have a lot of support as victims of sex abuse. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are ultimately released.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.